Hello, everybody. Welcome to It Was Tuesday with your host, James Chen, aka Jay Chenzor. It is definitely, we're getting near the holiday season, so happy holidays, everybody. But also at the same time, look, fighting games are not stopping. I've often lamented the fact that there are too many fighting games out there, but that is definitely a problem for those of us who want to play as many fighting games as we possibly can. For those of you, however, who are maybe still searching for that fighting game in particular that you're interested in, maybe some of the fighting games out right now aren't your thing right now and aren't your style. Well, the thing about it is it isn't slowing down. Like, I always feel like we're at a point where fighting games are going to slow down just a little bit. Like, the influx has got to stop at this point. But obviously, Mortal Kombat 1 has released already. And then Street Fighter 6, of course, came out about 6 months ago at this point. But there are more coming out. Obviously, Tekken 8 is a big one that everybody is talking about, which will be coming out very, very quickly in January, if I'm not mistaken, literally next month. But at the same time, you know, if you're a person who's always kind of been a Dragon Ball fan, but just couldn't take the Dragon Ball FighterZ online beta just happened. And man, are the Dragon Ball fans happy. Boy, are they happy. They're just like, the beta ended and the Dragon Ball Fire players are like, please don't take this away from us. Please make an indefinite beta. Like, this is the craziest thing ever. So they have been really, really excited. And I'm sure if you are a fan of Dragon Ball FighterZ, it's a better time to get into than any, because as soon as the game gets released with the rollback netcode, it's going to be a completely different experience. Yes, and as Kevamani mentioned in the chat, obviously Project L coming out as well. Another game that a lot of people are anticipating. But kind of one of the things I wanted to mention here is that, there are a couple of other pretty significant games coming out very, very soon here. Let me get their exact release dates here for you guys before I actually, so there it is, the full release. So and then do we have this officially over here? I prepared a bunch of stuff, forgot a couple of things, and then just want to make sure I have, okay, there we go. So, already, let me actually change the topics here. Oops, that didn't work. I have to do this. Yoink. There we go. So, two fighting games that are coming out that, I'm hoping don't fall under the radar with all these fighting game announcements and, all the big name fighting games like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, and Tekken. Having sequels coming out within like 8 months, within an 8-month period, is Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising and Under Night in Birth 2. Unfortunately for me personally, I haven't played a lot of the original Granblue, and I know the game has gone through a ton of changes and such, so I wish I could talk more about it. I was trying to reach out to some people, just not in time to be able to talk a little bit more about Granblue, but there has been already like a pre-release for a bunch of people that have been able to pick up the game already. Granblue Fantasy Versus they're both interestingly enough, Granblue Fantasy Versus is being programmed, the game is programmed, is made by Arxis, but it is released by the official Granblue company, which was, I get them all mixed up, Cygames. So Granblue is being published by Cygames, developed by Arxis. Interestingly enough, Under Night in Birth is being developed by French Bread, but published by Arxis. So while they both have ties to Arxis, one is actually being developed, the other one is only being published. So it's kind of interesting. So Cygames again is publishing Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising, and French Bread is developing Under Night in Birth 2 Celes. And so I wanted to talk about these games coming out. So, Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising has already been released. Early access players have already been playing it since yesterday, essentially. But the full release comes out December 14th. So let me see if I can do something over here for you guys, because what I want to do is full screen over here. Switch this like so. And then I'm just going to play some footage from Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising from Evo this past year. They had an exhibition, and there was a whole top 8 that they actually produced over here for Evo. Which way do I gotta move this calendar to center myself more? There we go. So I'm just gonna have this on in the background, but you know, for those of you who didn't play the original Granblue, I mean, obviously you look at this game and you're like, okay, it's another anime fighter. It's like Guilty Gear or Blaze Blue or Dragon Ball. This game is going to be absolutely crazy and wild. But honestly, Granblue Fantasy Versus is probably more like if Street Fighter and an anime game kind of had a baby, right? So like the game is definitely a little more grounded, as you can see, a little bit more slow, a little bit more footsies, but as Mike Lee has said in the chat, and I was going to address this, the game has undergone a lot of changes even during the course of the first Granblue. So again, just so you guys know, Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising is basically the sequel to Granblue Fantasy Versus. So this is essentially basically the second release of the game. Previously, it was just, you know, patches and adding a bunch of systems, etc., etc. Now, this game does have a lot of friendly, you know, beginner-friendly stuff in there. As you can see, there is a special move button under the life bars. If you actually look over here, there's a lot of, you can just do the special moves by pressing the button, and there's cooldown. And what's interesting is in the original Granblue Fantasy, there was a penalty for doing it with the special move button, essentially that the cooldown would be longer. It has been said now that Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising, difference does not exist. So basically, there are no penalties now, apparently, for doing special moves via the special move button, and you can just do either way with the original command. So basically, classic and modern exist, and there's like no penalty at all. So so Gundam Jehudi Kai, if anybody can confirm what he says, is that they've added a bunch of new mechanics in the original Granblue Fantasy Versus, and I guess took some of them away, but someone else says no, all of them are still there. And as you can see, there's a lot of craziness going on in this game. And so basically, the way that I would like to describe this game, because again, you know, it's disingenuous to say that this is a very Street Fighter based, neutral, slow. Just imagine if you were playing Street Fighter 6, but everybody was DJ, JP, and like Blanca, right? There are no real like Kens. I mean, there are, right? So obviously there's going to be some more basic characters, but as characters have been added to the game has gotten wilder and wilder, which is basically what you expect from a lot of fighting games. But this game also has huge single player campaign, but like I said, the pace is a little bit slower. It has very similar kind of mix-ups to a Street Fighter game, like attack, throw, shimmy kind of stuff. Everybody has a universal overhead mechanic. There are quote auto combos, but the auto combos are very, very integral to the game, because basically any button that you hit multiple times leads into automatic follow-ups, basically. But if you're looking for this kind of a game that, you know, maybe Street Fighter isn't your style, but you're looking for something a little bit crazier than Street Fighter, and but at the same time is not like, you know, Guilty Gear, absolute nuts. Okay, so looks like interesting. So Greetings Mortal updating in me here in the chat here. Apparently they did change it so that the modern controls version of the special moves do 10% less damage. So they do 90% of the damage. So they went the classic route, it sounds like. So apparently there was an update where the inputs do more damage than the modern controls out there. So while the cooldown penalty has now been taken away, there is a damage difference between the two. Appreciate that. Greetings, mortal. Appreciate that update there. But again, like I said, I'm not an expert in Granblue Fantasy Versus. I'm not trying to pretend to be, but what I'm trying to do is just keep you guys aware of these games coming out. Now, one of the things about Granblue Fantasy Versus, which was absolutely one of the most unfortunate things, is the original game. There was so much potential and a lot of people talking about how this game could potentially be one of the next big games in the fighting game circuit because it had the budget of a company like Cygames. It had the beautiful graphics to it. It had so much potential. There's a lot of one-player content for everybody, etc., etc. The problem was that the game released right when the pandemic hit. And unfortunately, Granblue Fantasy Versus was a victim of delay-based netcode because Strive hadn't quite convinced Japan yet of the quality of rollback netcode. Now, obviously, I talked about Dragon Ball FighterZ a little bit earlier, how that beta made everybody all excited. Well, guess what? Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising does feature the rollback netcode that we all love and wanted. So if Granblue Fantasy Versus was something you played, and as someone says in the chat that they dropped the game because the online was miserable, especially for the pandemic period, it is not that problem anymore. And we have the rollback netcode here. And this, they couldn't have picked a better name for this sequel than Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising, because that's kind of what I'm hoping for right now. I'm hoping this game gets a big resurgence because when it came out, it was popular. A lot of people were playing it. Everyone from all the different scenes were playing it. I was playing it. Hey, I'm one of the people that actually stopped playing it largely because of the fact that I couldn't play it online. I didn't want to deal with the rollback netcode, but the developers have said they practically had to rewrite a lot of the game, from scratch. Obviously, a lot of the resources and stuff like that, still existed, but like the internal code and stuff like that, a lot of it had to be, almost kind of done from the ground up here just to get to the point where they could actually get the rollback netcode going in here again. But again, it's such a beautiful game. I'm excited for this game to have the chance for this game to shine, because it really did have this potential. And at the first offline Evo after the pandemic, so in what was the first offline Evo that we had? It wasn't this last year, so it was 2022 that we had the first offline Evo. Dude, like the Granblue scene, they came out, they played, they were having such a great time, they were being hyped. You can see how much the scene really enjoys this game and really, really wants, has a strong community. And now with the rollback netcode, this game is going to have a huge chance. And like I said, if something like Street Fighter maybe is a little too calm for you, or maybe it's, you want something a little bit crazier, or you want to get into anime games, but you're scared to play Guilty Gear, etc., etc. This is a great opportunity to get in here. Like I said, this game is definitely more footsies based. Obviously, you can see it's horizontal, right? This is not a vertical game. There's no double jumps. There's no air dashes. And, it's definitely more akin to Street Fighter. You can see everyone's got dodges. They've definitely added a V-shift like mechanic to the game at some point. I know I wasn't around by that point when they added that. But again, with the budget of Cygames, hopefully they do keep supporting this game. And, you know, of course, Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising is adding a bunch of characters to this game as well. So, again, a lot of people, you talk to most people about this game, and most people will give you a positive opinion about this game. Most people will tell you that this is a very, very good game, like a very solid entry into the FGC. Just the biggest problem was literally the netcode. So again, this is literally coming out in 2 days. By the time you guys see this on YouTube, for the YouTube audience, it'll be coming out tomorrow, except for those of you who have early access. But this is a big fighting game that has the potential to be pretty huge and make a sizable, like, impact in the fighting game community. And I think this will be a great game for a lot of people to get into. It's very beginner friendly, and it's very, very neutral heavy, and it has a lot of the crazy mix-ups from anime games that you expect. Like I said, just think of it like as a Street Fighter 6, but everybody is JP and Blanca and DJ, and the characters that have more of the craziness going on. So yeah, if you have a chance, please check this out. And like I said, my knowledge of Granblue is very limited. I kept track of it, and, you know, I was a Loane player when the game first dropped, and then Loane was bad, so I was like, I gotta switch characters, and I tried finding like 19 different characters. But then eventually the pandemic hit, and it was really hard for me to keep up with the game because I couldn't play the game online. Hopefully that changes, and again, you know, this is a very, very popular franchise. Granblue is a huge, huge franchise in Japan. You know, obviously starting off as, I believe it's a mobile game. Is it a mobile game? Oh yeah, 3 buttons and a unique button for attack. Light, medium, heavy, and then the unique button, which is kind of like Blaze Blue, which the unique button is, you know, something for your character in particular. But yeah, it's a very, very popular mobile game, and there's like Granblue, like conventions and stuff, you know, like there have been literal Granblue events out there that just focus on Granblue itself. So, you know, definitely take a chance to keep track of this. Like I said, Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 1, and of course Tekken 8's coming out, so a lot of people looking at those. But this is another game that you should be keeping your eye on. And again, beautiful rollback netcode, and I really hope that this means that Granblue is going to get a much bigger kind of you know, player base once it officially reaches everybody's hands. So again, please check out the game when you guys have a chance and try it out. Like I said, lots of beginner features, beautiful one-player content, and just, I mean, look at the game. The game is gorgeous, right? I mean, again, it's part of that Arxis anime style, again, which I know some people may say, you know, it might actually be almost too many of these now. But I mean, again, this is just one of those games that over time will never, ever look out of date, in my opinion. I think that this game is going to look beautiful basically forever because it is so stylized, because the art direction is so good. I've said that about Dragon Ball Fighters too. That is the biggest advantage of this art style, is that these games are never going to look outdated, like ever. Like, okay, maybe once we're all in some sort of weird virtual world where everything is like pretty colors, you know, like 500 years from now. Okay, maybe. But in terms of, you know, like in just getting better graphics and stuff like that, I think this game will be a gorgeous game for pretty much forever. So yeah, definitely check it out. Again, the early access players have been playing it since the 11th. This stream right here is on the 12th, so definitely give a chance to check this game out. It releases fully on the 14th on all the platforms, so check it out there. Alrighty. So that's one of the games that's coming out that I really wanted to talk about here. But clearly there's another game as well that I think really deserves some attention as well. And this game, let me make sure I get you the exact date so I'm not wrong, so I don't give any false information. January 22nd. January 22nd is going to be the release of Under Night in Birth 2, Celes. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Under Night in Birth, this is a game that originally hit the scene kind of big time, mostly when the first Under Night in Birth, Uniel, as we called it, was the game that really kind of established itself into the scene, and it was such a great fighting game. This might be one of the most complex fighting games in terms of game system mechanics. It has this really complex grid system where you're battling between, trying to build up grid. It's just like, imagine a drive gauge. Actually, thanks to the drive gauge, it actually makes it easier to explain. But think of it as a tug-of-war drive gauge, right? You share one drive gauge, and you're actually kind of playing a tug-of-war on the drive gauge. But the crazy thing is there's a cycle that every time it cycles, one person gets powered up if they have the tug-of-war on their side. And then they have access to, chain shift, I think it was. And then there's also these systems called veil off and all. Dude, it is such a complicated fighting game, but it is one of those fighting games that if you take the time to delve into, the way all the mechanics work with each other is so clean. It is like one of the cleanest games, and Uniel, at one point in time, if you remember on the Tuesday show, back when it was just me and David, we became obsessed with Uniel, and we tried to find a way to talk about Uniel as often as possible. Now, I'm showing you some footage here. Shout outs to Low Kick Esports. This is from their channel right here. They ran a tournament during the beta weekend just very, very recently. So they just ran a tournament for Under Night in Birth 2. So that's the footage that we're watching over here. And as you can see, I want to say, this is the next step of evolution right after Granblue in terms of getting closer and closer to being an anime game, quote unquote. Again, this game is very horizontally based, right? This game is not about, high jumps and double jumps, although there are assaults for every characters that do give you double jumps. But, again, it's more of a horizontal game. You're more focused on, spacing. However, I do think it's closer to Dungeon Fighter, DNF Duel, because all the characters in this game are absolutely wild. The characters in this game are crazy. Now, I just happen to have put on Akatsuki here on the first player side, who is one of the most normal looking characters because he's from a completely different fighting game. He's a guest. He's from Akatsuki Blitzkampf, a completely different fighting game. So he's a guest in this game. So he actually fights more like a Shoto than anything else. But if you look at a character like Byakuya, who's on the screen right now, he plants web traps all over the screen. Like, you'll start seeing him planting webs if we actually get a chance that trigger. But look at the range of his moves. There's moves that hit across the entire screen. Gordeau is one of the most infamous characters for, just having moves that literally hit 3-4 screen away. Merkava, you see the web planted there. We have characters like Waldstein, who's Dulcim plus Zangief at the same time. Like, he has long arms, but he's the grappler of the game. Like, what the hell? Oh, okay, yes. And shout outs to Solzon mentioning this. The OST in this game, oh, beautiful, beautiful. But again, I was really, really into this game, and I played a ton of it during Uniel, even to the point where I was actually doing well at tournaments back during the run back days. You know, when Wednesday Night Fights and the Run Back were still running at the Super Arcade. That's how long ago it was. But if you look at the bottom of the screen over there, you actually see the GRD listed down here. That is where the grid, where is my mouse cursor? There it is. The GRD down there, which is blocked by the timeline thing over there. But you can see it's kind of a tug of war over here. Both players are trying to build up that grid. It's the grid system. And then you gain a lot of powers from having access, from having more grid than your opponent when a cycle finishes. You see the circle going around the grid right there, and there will be a little meter building up. Like you can see right here, you see the meter slowly filling up over here. I'm trying to trace with my mouse cursor, but as soon as it fills up, whoever has more grid, oh dang, and then someone just got grid broken. This is like basically getting burnt out with the drive gauge. So thanks to Street Fighter 6, I actually think that the grid system might not be as confusing, because I never really thought about it, but there's actually they're not similar, but there's enough like little concepts that at least it makes it a little bit easier to understand. But yes, everybody in this game is absolutely disgusting. Like, let me see if I can fast forward to maybe some of the other characters here who might look crazier. Oh, here was my main character, which was Nanase. She has Milius. She has Milia discs now? Holy crap. Okay. That is a new move that she got for sure. But Nanase also a pretty straightforward character here. Well, this Byakuya is just murdering everybody here, isn't he? Oh, here we go. Here we go. I see a Hilda on screen here. I see a Hilda on screen. And, yeah, Hilda is basically the Zangief the Dhalsim of the game. Sorry. She is basically the zoner, and she just throws stuff out all over the screen, basically. She can hit full screen away and just do all sorts of things. There's a character named Batista who is also a zoner, but she actually has a sonic boom that you can charge with forward and with backwards, and that leads to do two different moves. So you can actually sonic boom, continue holding forward. So her sonic boom throws out a little fireball, then reverse sonic boom is a laser, but then you keep holding back, and so then you do a forward sonic boom, and she throws the fireball again, but you keep holding forward, and then you hit back and button, and she throws out the laser again. She's even got an upside down flash kick that basically is a dive kick move from the air. Dude, like, there is just all sorts of craziness in this game. And how does this compare to DNF Duel in terms of craziness? I would say probably maybe DNF Duel slightly more crazy, but I don't know if that's a fair thing to say, to be honest with you. I think both of them are pretty wild when it comes to what characters can do and just the absolute nonsense and pressure that characters can act. Why is this Street Fighter 6? I don't want Street Fighter 6. Let's go back over here. Oh, okay. And then what was that? A Fawn, I think her name is. The whip chick in this game. Phonon, that's what it is. Yeah. So another kind of like ranged whip character over here. But they both have pretty much craziness. Why is every match Byakuya in this tournament? Why is everybody Byakuya in this tournament? However, like I said, I think DNF Duel might be a little bit crazier because it's definitely a game that definitely has more like, oh, you died, like kind of situations. But you see all these webs being planted here, mix up. And then, you know, interestingly enough, this game has really strong defensive mechanics. It has a lot of things like faultless, similar to Guilty Gear's faultless defense. If you tech a throw, you're actually plus, so you actually have the advantage so that you can actually, because throws are really scary in this game, and if throws were stronger in this game, dude, the offense would be ridiculous, but they've taken things in mind. And in fact, one of the balance things that I would love to see to happen to Street Fighter 6 is that if you tech a throw, you're actually plus, and I got the idea from Under Night in the first place. So again, What happened with this game? So just a little bit of background for Under Night in Birth over here. Game got so popular because people kept playing it and people just enjoyed it so much that every tournament that this game went to, including Evos as a side tournament, Combo Breaker, etc., it kept breaking its own records for most entrants in an Under Night tournament ever. And it basically got so... Kaguya is one of the newest characters to the game, so she is absolutely brand new to this game. But the game built so much momentum and was so community driven that it eventually got added to the main Evo lineup on the basis of just the community supporting it and it just making a ton of noise. So again, this game was popular and enjoyed by enough people that it kept growing, and then it was at Evo and it had the biggest tournament in Under Night history. And so yeah, again, this game was really popular. So again, what happened to it? What happened? Guess what? Same thing that we talked about with Granblue Fantasy Versus. It had delay-based netcode. The most recent Under Night was Under Night in Birth. This one was Uniclear. That's what it was. It was CLR. It was CL-R. Under Night in Birth CL-R. And so, but that game, when I tried to play it, again, delay-based netcode. It was delay-based netcode, and it was just not something that I couldn't do it. I couldn't play it online. So I really, especially with my character, Nanase, she has some very crucial combos that you need to like hit heavy the instant you jump off the floor. And like when I played on delay-based netcode, literally the combos that I would do in training mode, I couldn't do when I played online. And then when I played online a bunch, I couldn't do the combo in training mode. Like the delay-based netcode was just very, very difficult to deal with. And so I couldn't keep up with it. But again, Under Night in Birth 2, Celes has rollback netcode. Rollback netcode for you. Rollback netcode for you. Rollback netcode for everybody. So it's great. It's great. And yeah, this game, because of the way that the chain system works, just like Melty Blood, where you you can chain light, medium, heavy, light, heavy, medium, medium, heavy, light. And then, of course, crouching counts as a separate move. So you can do medium, crouching, medium, standing light, crouching, heavy, standing heavy, crouching, light. You know, there's a lot of freedom in this game. You know, there's a lot of rules in this game. Like you can only jump cancel once in a combo. You only get one ground bounce. The tutorial in this game was fantastic because the tutorial wasn't even just like, they have combo trials, but all of the combo trials are like, here's an optimal combo off of a light crouching starter that hits low. Here's an optimal combo off of this overhead. Here's an optimal combo off of this. Like they actually tried to give you all the realistic match starting combos in the combo trials, which is actually really, really cool. And also, I will mention too, this is one of the last bastions of beautiful, beautiful 2D artwork, right? This is still a sprite-based game, and you know, it's a beautiful game, and support old school sprite games. I never noticed that about Kaguya, actually. I didn't know that she didn't open her eyes. I mean, anime has a lot of tropes. That's just kind of how it works, so... Eltnum is also a guest character, but the weird part about Eltnum is that she knows she's a guest character, so she makes all these... She's like, weirdly, like Deadpool in this game. One of her win quotes talks about Blaze Blue, Blaze Blue Central Fiction, I think, or something like that. But yeah, it's actually kind of funny. But yeah, this is a really fun game. You know, if Melty Blood bothered you because of the lack of drip, for example, the characters in this game definitely have a lot crazier style. The characters that I've just happened to be putting on the screen here for you guys haven't been as wild as some of the other characters as that you can find in this game, but like if I just do like Under Night Merkava, like this is one of the characters in Under Night in Birth. Like this character is absolutely just, I mean, one, he's adorable. I mean, look at him. Look at his face, dude. He's so cute, right? But then, you know, he just hits you all over the screen and everything like that. There's Waldstein, who's this guy. This is the Zangief Dulcim that I was telling you about. Just the absolute craziest designs. So, you know, again, I describe Under Night as melty blood with drip. All right, Shard Lab said it. That wasn't me, okay? But yeah, this game has so many crazy characters. This is Mika, a character whose crouching animation doesn't even look like a crouch. There's all sorts of crazy characters in this game, you know, mixed with the standard looking characters like Linne, for example. You know, she's just going to be your standard fast character. But this is kind of a, you know, pseudo weapon based fighters. Most of the characters have weapons in this game. So, but again, yeah, that's Under Night in Birth and Under Night in Birth 2. And again, with rollback netcode. So this is going to be absolutely amazing. And again, you know, the reason why I told the story about it getting into Evo and all that stuff like that, about me and David just being absolutely in love with this game at one point in time, is because this game really does, you know, once you play it, once you start understanding the system, it hooks people. This game sucks people in. And honestly, the netcode, again, was one of the things that held it back with the delay-based netcode. But, you know, now we've got the rollback netcode, so here we are. It is a great time to be a fighting game fan. And so we have all these games coming out. And actually, you know what? I brought this up, so let's actually check this out with the volume and everything like that. But the last character, so Kaguya was new to the game. Please, someone in the chat, remind me who the shield guy is. The guy with the giant shield in this game. What's his name? He's one of the new characters that's being added to the game as well. But the last character revealed for being added to this game is Kuon. And this character, I mean, definitely seems like the new boss character or something, but he looks absolutely insane. So let's take a look at this trailer, which just came out very, very recently. I think this guy's a bad guy. By the character design, it's very ambiguous. Tsurugi, thank you. That's the shield guy. Yeah, this game has puppet characters, etc., etc. So a lot of like steps into getting you into other anime games. So there you go. Well, this says release date January 25th. So I had it said that it was 22nd when I looked it up on when I actually looked it up on Google. But this actually, oh, actually, you know what? It's auto playing. What the hell? Let's watch the Tsurugi trailer as well here. So this is the other character that they announced besides Kaguya. Hey, look, it's a normal looking dude with a shirt and tie. Nothing odd about this character at all. Oh, wait. Sorry. He has a giant shield. Indomitable Rampart Steel Guardian. Oh, dang, he's got like a metal arm or something, too?
前の悪事がなされることはありえない。たとえ不可能であろうと全員守るぜ。この俺の盾がな。固く重いもんでドカーンと殴る。それだけでいいんだよ。
So there you go. That's the other character that's being announced along with Kaguya. I already streamed the Kaguya trailer on this show before, so if you want to take a look at that, just search the videos over here. But again, yeah, this game's coming out apparently January 25th, according to all these trailers here. And yeah, and that's the thing, Hammered Wookie, as I was saying, between this and again, between Granblue Fantasy Versus again, like if we go back to Granblue Fantasy Versus, even if you think that you're bad at anime fighters, these are two good games to start in here, to get your feet wet into anime fighters. Again, like if I had to do the steps, basically, it would be like Street Fighter, then Granblue, then Under Night, then maybe DNF Duel, and then Guilty Gear, right? Because then that's when you start getting into, or even I would even have to say Guilty Gear Strive, and then you get to the classic Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, which with more of the double jumps and the high jumps and the more vertical kind of style games, basically. BlazBlue is definitely one of the craziest games out there. One of the wildest anime games that exists. But again, nice thing about Granblue Fantasy Versus is while this game does have some crazy characters, the archetypes are still pretty straightforward. Like someone in the chat just mentioned La Diva. She's the grappler, right? Matera with the whip is good. And then Fairy, I think was her name. Oh, no, wait. Gosh, who was the one with the bow and arrow? Is Ladiva still bad, Mike Lee? Is Ladiva still bad? Matera, that's what it was. Matera with the bow and arrow. Fairy has the whip. Okay, got it. So Fairy is the whip character. Matera is the arrow character. And both of those characters are more zoner style. But, it's kind of more classic what you would expect out of zoners. And especially, if JP is kind of your thing, then Matera is a great character to go with because Matera has very similar kinds of, space control kind of, ways. The Diva is bottom one, but the game just came out. Do we know that already? Do we know that already? Come on, the game is brand new. We don't know yet. But in any case, there's all sorts of archetypes that you can follow in here. Like I said, Under Night has it as well. There's the zoners like Hilda, like Batista, and so on and so forth. No, actually, it's not Batista, is it? Is Batista the one that I'm thinking of? Oh, God, I'm getting all my names mixed up right now. This is called Old Man Brain. I'm pretty sure it is Batista, right? Let me look this up over here. No, it is Batista. Yep, there it is. So it's Batista. But, you do have your traditional zoners. But, man, like if you play Under Night and Birth and you're so used to Street Fighter, you're going to get destroyed by Batista right away. Until you start learning, like I said, about for example, the grid system's complicated, right? And so while Batista can zone the hell out of you, there's the shield guards, right? That, like I said, kind of similar to the faultless defense in Guilty Gear. But if you actually shield guard stuff, you build grid. So if you actively play defense, you build grid. So if you're fighting against a zoner like Batista and you just start actively blocking all of her zoning stuff, what that happens is that you build more grid than she does, and then you win the cycle, and now you have all the extra things like the chain shift, which is a Roman cancel, kind of ability to have. You gain all these extra things that, you have, and so there's ways to actively play defense in Under Night. Like so many fighting games these days, blocking is like not the right thing to do. Like, you're just wrong if you block. But in Under Night, you know, playing good defense is really a real thing and very solid, very, very solid strategy to go by. And it's just, again, like I said, I was so enamored with the systems and the way the game played back in Uniel that, you know, I really enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool things coming out here, not just games that are coming out, the big name games. Like I said, if you've been a Dragon Ball fan, but you know what, you couldn't play it because of the terrible netcode, hey, hopefully we get that official rollback netcode release soon, so you could almost count that as a brand new game as well. But of course, Tekken 8 coming out, also Tekken 8, release date is January 26th, I want to say. Yes, so January 26th. So it's going to be interesting because keep in mind, Under Night and Birth comes out on the 25th, according to those trailers, and Tekken comes out on the 26th. So that's a difficult time, right? Obviously, it's not easy for everybody to just splurge and spend on 2 fighting games at the exact same time. So it's kind of a tough situation. Fortunately, Tekken 8 and Under Night fill very different voids in the fighting game community that you'll know which of the 2 that you lean towards more. You'll definitely know which one you lean towards a little bit more. Well, so none of the heavy hitters are using delay anymore, asked Shard Lab. I don't know because of Tekken. I don't know. Tekken has rollback like Tekken 7 has rollback. And so I'm not 100% sure. So Tekken 8 is the only one that I don't know the real answer to. And I still don't know the real answer to. So, yes. But Tekken is coming out. We all know the cast. We know the entire cast. But they've also just been releasing the official trailers for them recently. The most 2 recent trailers have been for Leo and for Dragunov. And since Tekken 8 absolutely counts as one of the new fighting games that's coming out, let's actually take a look at that one as well. So this is the Leo trailer coming out. Splat. So again, Tekken 8, and Tekken might be a good one to get into if you've never played Tekken before, because the heat system has really kind of changed the game. It's definitely more of an aggressive game. You know, aggression, you know, is definitely the name of the game. So I think that if you really wanted to get into Tekken, this would be a good one to start with. Although Legacy Knowledge definitely still has a lot of weight in this game, for sure. Well, I mean, Tekken blocking, are you talking about Tekken with blocking in this game, or are you talking about a different game, Mike Lee? Because in general, okay. Because Tekken has always been a tough game to block in, but Tekken is more about the left-right spacing distances. Like, you want to get people to whiff things. If you're being rushed down and the character's in your face, they're going to open you up. And, you know, the unreactable lows and stuff are like chip damage. You kind of sometimes just have to take them a little bit because you can't get baited into crouching because then you get launched, etc., etc. Ugh. And here's this super that looks exactly like Whip Super from King of Fighters. And so that's Leo being added towards the game. Well, we already know is added to the game. And then, of course, my nemesis, Dragunov, the character that caused the infamous Chen Rage Tekken clip here. So we have, oh yeah, that's right. Leo is supposed to use Baji-Quan as well. Same style as Akira. Yeah, I had no life left. 100% after dropping a combo that should have won me the round, by the way. I knew he was going to go for a low, but of course, since I had no life, wouldn't you go for the unreactable low? Not the snake edge, but the guy went for the snake edge. Not because he was guessing that I was guessing that he was it was just because he just did it and I got hit and I got so mad. Anyway, Dragunov. Another classic Tekken, well, now classic Tekken character. What was Dragunov's first Tekken? Was it 5 that he first showed up in? I can't remember what Dragunov's first Tekken was, but I feel like he feels like a staple these days, right? Okay, so it was Tekken DR, gotcha, yeah, which is 5, so. And this is Vincent, of course, one of the brand new characters alongside Azucena and Reina as one of the new characters in the game. Right, the first one was BR, and then it was Tekken 5, then BR, then DR, I think it was. Right, is it? Those ball lightning effects. No, that right there, those are just hits. I think those are just the way some of the hits look. Oh, it was a Tekken 6 BR, got it. Okay, 5 was DR, 6 was BR. Oh, man. Still not as confusing as Blaze Blue names or Under Night names. Hi. And that's Tekken 8. So again, January 26th coming out. So definitely something that you want to keep an eye out for. Again, fighting game community eating good, man. Eating so well at this point. And obviously the big three, Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and Street Fighter are going to be the ones, taking a lot of the limelight. But again, do not overlook Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising. Do not overlook Under Night In Birth 2 Celes. One of the most beautiful things about fighting games is if you dislike a fighting game, another fighting game is there. You will find a fighting game that you enjoy. They are all different enough games that they reward very different skills, very different talents, very different mindsets. And again, Tekken 8's January 26th. Granblue, Under Night In Birth 2 Celes is January 25th. And then Granblue Fantasy Versus is already out. It is available for the early early access for some players, but becomes officially purchasable by everybody on the 14th, which is 2 days from this broadcast right now. And so by the time this gets up on YouTube, probably one day, it should be available for you to purchase literally midnight tonight for the YouTube audience here. So again, please do not overlook these games. So interesting. So, you know what, Jim Kubak? Save that question for the viewer Q&A section. That'd be a great question for the viewer Q&A section. Save that and we'll do that there. But again, so many fighting games. And on top of all of this, I want to address a couple of things before we exit right now. A couple of things that I really want to mention is one, I wore the Them's Fightin' Herds shirt intentionally today for solidarity with the main 6 devs. They were, basically picked up by a big company, and that company decided to help them, fund Them's Fightin' Herds. But, as it goes, when you are reporting to somebody else, when you are under somebody else, they have all the control, and what they worry about the most is money. So unfortunately, they have ceased all development on Them's Fightin' Herds. Not the developer's fault, not Main 6's fault. So they weren't able to fulfill a lot of the Kickstarter or Indiegogo goals, such as a fully fleshed out story mode, etc., etc. And then just today, one of the people that worked at Main 6 reported that everybody at Main 6 except 3 employees were let go today. And so the entire Them's Fightin' Herds team, the entire Main 6 team was disbanded. So the new I hadn't gotten to this part yet, Factory Worker 1. So if you guys are looking for people who are very capable at working on fighting games, who can QA fighting games, who can develop fighting games, again, Them's Fightin' Herds was a very, very, very polished product, very solid product there, a very fun game. One of the first games that had good rollback netcode, for people to play based on the Skullgirls engine, etc., etc. There's a lot of people who are looking for jobs right now. So definitely hit them up and look up a lot of the people who used to work for Main 6. So just dig around. You should be able to find a lot of those people, and I'm sure that they would be more than happy to refer you to all of their, former team members and such. But again, it's an unfortunate situation, but Them's Fightin' Herds was one of the indie fighting games that was doing really great stuff and, was very, very well regarded amongst the community that played the game. But I do want to mention as well that there are all these crazy indie fighting games coming out, and I would name some of them, but I don't want to leave anyone out. This is how my OCD brain works. It's why I don't wish anybody happy birthday online ever, because I feel like if I wish someone happy birthday but I forget somebody else, I will feel awful, awful, awful. So instead I disappoint everybody is how my brain works. And so there are a lot of great indie fighting games coming out. I see them on my timeline. Some of them are one of them I will mention, not directly by name because I can't remember the name, but it looks like, plastic toys that you're fighting with. It's like almost kind of like a spiritual successor to Clay Fighter almost in a weird way because it's so stylized, but it looks really, really beautiful. Like there's that one. I saw another one that's a 2D animated, 2D sprite-based fighting game that's coming out as well. But there are a ton of independent fighting games that are coming out as well. So if you are also interested in games like Them's Fightin' Herds, if that was more your style, if Punch Planet was more your style, there are a ton of independent fighting games to look at as well. I know a bunch of them were showcased at EVO, but I've been seeing even more ones being announced recently. There's so many independent fighting games. So again, as a fighting game player, there is more than enough to satisfy that itch. If you don't like Street Fighter 6, you don't have to play Street Fighter 6. There's so many fighting games out there for you to play. So many fighting games to get into. The important thing is that, you try to find the game that is suited for you. Again, like for example, Tekken, difficult game for me to play. I learned it, I enjoy it, I think it's fun. It's definitely not a James game. But then I played Soul Calibur and I was like, I freaking love this game. And Soul Calibur turned out to be a game that I really, really enjoyed, right? Who would have guessed that both of the games made by the same company had very different mentalities to play the games, right? I originally thought that those two games, Soul Calibur was just Tekken with weapons. And it's absolutely not, right? It is not that at all. And so, you need to make sure you take the time to explore because you never know what fighting game you'll run into that is just absolutely joy to play. So again, I know I highlighted Granblue Fantasy Versus Rising and Under Night In-Birth 2 Celes in this video here with a little bit of love to Tekken 8 as well. Obviously, those games are coming out within the next month and a half. So again, we're eating great in terms of great games here. They should all have good netcode. Please, Tekken 8 have good netcode. And it's a great time. Dragon Ball FighterZ, when the official update releases with rollback, might as well be a brand new online game because you should see the reactions reactions from so many of the people. They're like, I've never been able to do this online. Oh my God. And the beta ending, there's so many people going like, please don't end the beta. Please. I can't go back. I can't go back. And so, it's a wonderful time to be playing fighting games. We are in, again, okay, fine. I won't call this the golden age because golden age kind of implies like classic, Look, obviously there was a point in time where fighting games were wonderful, but this time right now is definitely overall the strongest for fighting game players that we've ever had. So, find the fighting game you enjoy. It doesn't have to be Street Fighter 6. It doesn't have to be Mortal Kombat 1. It doesn't have to be Tekken 8. It doesn't have to be Guilty Gear Strive. Like I said, Granblue Fantasy Versus, Dragon Ball Fighters, Under Night In-Birth 2, all these indie games out here, King of Fighters 15. There's so many, even classic games, right? You can go to Fightcade and play a lot of the classic games. You could fall in love with Vampire Savior. You could even go back to Exerd if you really want that classic Guilty Gear style. That's got rollback netcode as well. BB Tag still is out there for you guys. Blaze Blue, Central Fiction is still out there. There's just so many choices out there. Please take the time. Obviously, it's not cheap to do that kind of thing, but again, just keep in mind that if you've played one fighting game, you haven't even remotely played them all. There's so much variety out there. Try to find the game for you, and hopefully you'll find something that you really enjoy and really helps bring out what makes fighting games something so great. And so that'll be all here for you guys on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on which fighting game you guys are looking for. I didn't even talk about Project L all that much because we don't know when that game is coming out. We're still in the dark about that one, but obviously that's another huge game that's coming out. But besides Project L, what fighting games are you looking forward to that are coming out? Or what fighting game, or actually, you know what would be even cooler too as well? If you made it this far in the video, comment below what fighting game you started out playing and now what your main fighting game is, if they are different games. Because I want to see the kind of transitions a lot of people have made between fighting games, because that is one of the coolest parts about fighting games. So there you go. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. For those of you on Twitch, of course, I'm going to be going to the viewer Q&A section. YouTube viewers, check out that. That should be out later on this week. But it doesn't matter if you're on Twitch or if you're on YouTube. The day that this podcast graced your ears was the most important day of your life. But for me,
it was Tuesday.